Hello! So a few days ago I GM'd at a convention called TableCon. It's a convention here in Singapore dedicated to tabletop games and role-playing games and board games and stuff like that, war games as well. And the games that I GM'd were old school D&D and Mothership. All the games went fantastic. I ran 4 games over 2 days. I just recovered from another lung infection, so I wasn't sure if I was gonna make it, but I did. I was hanging in there. The last Mothership game had like 7 people, and it was like kind of a it was tough. So the game that I actually want to talk about today is the old school D&D games. I used a mixture of basic D&D and original D&D for this. So like the version that I told the people they were playing was like from around 1974. It was great fun. I'll have some pictures up of like the games that I ran, but yeah. Fantastic. Thank you everybody for coming around to play. So the one thing that was notable about the old school D&D games was that I firstly themed it after Dungeon Meshi. So Dungeon Meshi, if you're not familiar, is an anime. Well, it used to be a manga. Well, it came from a manga. So Dungeon Meshi, if you're not familiar, is a manga that got adapted into an anime. And it's about, well, basically D&D adventures. It's about going into the dungeon, doing pre-OSR stuff, and eating the monsters. So that's cool. It inspired a lot of things, like Skirples, I think, did a bunch of stuff in the Monster Overhaul where like you can eat the monsters and what will happen if you do. And I think that's inspired by that, I might be wrong. But yeah, I wanted like a food-themed adventure. That wouldn't really be the focus of today's video, I just wanted to have some framing for that. But today I thought I'd show you a method that I used for the character pre-gens that might be interesting to you, that it makes use of cards. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, first let's start with the miniatures. So these are the miniatures that I use for the pre-gens. Ignore that black thing in the background there. That is definitely not a yoga mat that I spray painted black to use in skirmish games. Yeah, so yeah, this is the case that I used for the miniatures. Let's pop it open. And inside, as you can see, are a bunch of old school miniatures. So I'm gonna try and angle this up a bit. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. There we go. Okay, so this one, as you can see, is a really weird looking model. These are by Grenadier. It's an old company that used to make metal miniatures. These are made of metal for TSR back in the day. So I bought a bunch of these from Forlorn Hope Games. And at the bottom of it is actually the date that it was sculpted. And I believe that these were sculpted around 1992, 1993, something like that. Okay, but what I really wanted to show is, okay, check this out. This is my little, what the fuck is this? Stamp rally. What the fuck? Get a minimum of 6 stamps to get 1 sure win gacha pull. I didn't do, whatever. All right, so yeah, these are my prep notes. As you can see, it's all over the place. It's just a bunch of reams of like loose sheets of paper. But there are some cards that I made for the pre-gens that I thought will be interesting to show off. So for that miniature that I just showed, as you can see, I drew a little picture and the player named her Nobicel. This is a little character sheet. It has a class, level, HP, save, AC, the regular attributes, and any special notes that I have for that session. Here's the fighter, Carmack. We got a classic wizard, got a little bird on there. Yeah, the wizard was called Joe. You can barely make that out. Yeah, it's kind of confusing because one of the players was called Josephine. And yeah, don't name your characters after another player. Oh, this one's my favorite. We got this friar who's like a fake friar. They stole the cross, they can't read. But man, look at that sculpt, it's so good. We got a cleric. Yeah, remember that this is original D&D. They were using like crosses and stuff to turn undead. I don't think anybody ended up using the dwarf, which is kind of a relief. The adventurer has a goblin and it's kind of hard to make friends with the goblin if, you have a dwarf. in the party. And last but not least, we have The Rock. Yeah, this was pretty funny. The player who was playing this in the first session at the very least named them The Rock. And then her thing was she would just go around drumming all the time, and it kept causing cave-ins. So that was great. Yeah. So the way that I ran this was that I first asked the players to pick a miniature that they identified with. And I think this is a really good way of, at least at conventions, getting the players to get into their character a lot more easily. They can just like look at the, let's say like the wizard, and be like, oh, it's a little bird on there. So I'm gonna have a bird in the game. And they will be correct because the next thing they do is that they grab the card for it. This is the wizard card. And I have a bunch of little pieces of paper here, index cards, and I will just kind of flip through and find the wizard, as you can see. And I will have their inventory kind of like listed here, as well as their HP that the player can modify, and any special notes for the magic user. Of course, we have to have the spells here and stuff like that. Yeah, so they will have the miniature, the card, and they will have this piece of paper telling them what they have and what they can use. So it's very easy, very streamlined, and I feel like it's a lot less overload than having a huge character sheet with a bajillion things on it. Might be wrong, but I do like the way that the cards kind of worked out. Especially for one-shots, I think it's something that I'll be doing more of in the future. So this is not the first time that I have done cards like these. For my 5 Leagues from the Borderlands game, which is a solo skirmish war game by Ivan Sorensen, I actually had a bunch of cards that I made. I don't know if you can see that. Let There Be Light. Ow. Yeah, so, oh shit, that doesn't even show. Oh, I can kind of see it. It's basically these cards here inspired by the old Games Workshop combat cards, Citadel combat cards, which is a kind of trading card game that they were trying to push for a while. I wasn't born in that era, so I don't know much about it, but they look really cool. So I wanted to make a bunch, and I did for my miniatures. And basically what I did was I'll take a picture of the miniature, all right? And then I will kind of have a template for it in Photoshop, and I'll just put it in there. It's pretty simple. For the cards that I used for the convention, it was even simpler. All I did was I kind of just drew them in pencil on a piece of paper, and then I had a template in Photoshop that I would just like put the scanned image in and then darken it up. And I'll probably show a video or something on the screen at this point explaining the process, because I'm not doing a very good job at it. And what I think I'll do is I'll put a link to the template that I made down in the description below. This is a great time to ask you to like and subscribe and all that YouTube shit, and also comment, because now that my lung infection is gone, hopefully, I was hoping that I could get back into YouTube a little bit at a time, making short little videos like this, maybe going into some of the stuff that I do, and crafting and stuff like that. I've been doing a lot of sculpting, and the miniature side of it has been inspiring the RPG side of it, and I'm doing a bunch of war games, and there's a lot of stuff that I'm doing that I'm not actually sharing. I'm not sharing it on like anywhere. There'll be some drawings that I do and I don't post it anywhere except for like to some friends on Discord. So I felt like I needed to share some of the stuff that I've been doing, and I thought this will be a good place to start. That's a really long and rambly way to say that this is the end of the video, I guess. Make cool stuff. Have a good day, everybody.